Hey, everybody. Welcome to Love and Reload, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I'm so blessed and honored to be here with my friend, Audrey Lustgarten, the managing partner of Global at WR Immigration, and also a founder of Paradigm GM. Audrey, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, Ben?
I'm phenomenal. We're hanging out on a Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday. We're hanging out on Tuesday. Summer is coming to a close. It's gorgeous here. Where in the world are you, Audrey?
I'm not ready for summer to be over. I'm in Michigan, so summer's a
Well,
serious
summer was
thing.
over 3 weeks ago for y'all.
No, don't say that. I'm not ready for it. I'm wearing a sweater today, though, so I think it's over whether I want it to be or not.
You're manifesting Michigan right now in your sweater.
It's
Michigan
unfortunate.
summers are the best.
They are. They are awesome. When it's like 115 down in Texas, it's a nice like 75
You
here.
know
Just
what? You're not lying. Honestly, when I put my destination in the GPS, it warns me that it's hot there and I should think about not going.
it
I'm
doesn't
like,
know
it's
that
just
it's already too late for you, Ben.
I'm going to work and I'm like, yeah, I got no choice here. Okay. So, like, heat advisory warning, you might want to double think your route. I'm like, well, it's Texas. So, yeah, hey, check in with us, get in the comments. We're going to be talking about is AI putting lawyers out of business? What's it like? Audrey started her own firm 8 years ago. What's it like to do that for 8 years and then to leave that firm and go back into a big law firm? What is that like? I'm really fascinated with people's entrepreneurial journeys, but also fascinated in with the world of business immigration. So, want to know what's going on, what's hot and topical, not tropical, hot and topical in business immigration news globally. So, going to look for some of those things as well. If you got questions or comments, put them in there and we will get to your comments. Hit that like button, send some love out to Michigan, send some ice cubes to Texas. Help us out here. I'm obsessed, by the way, with Michigan for a moment. I lived in Michigan for about 5 years and I moved to Texas 3 years ago when I started my company, and I kind of miss Michigan a little bit, low key. Like I didn't think I liked it when I was there, but I miss it. And I'm hearing about like climate change and all this kind of stuff, and like how people are going to migratory patterns due to the changing climate, things like that. And people are saying, people who are smart that I respect are talking about that Great Lakes water basin, and they're saying
Hmm.
that's going to be the place to live in the future.
For
Underrated or
sure.
overrated?
No, I think it's underrated. I think Michigan's great. I'm a fan. I mean, if you were talking to me in February, I might feel slightly different, but it's August. Life is good. I think I thought it was like one of the best top states to live in too for like natural disasters, possibly connected
Like
with
top
climate
states,
change.
like good, like not having them,
Good.
right? Like,
Yeah, like we don't
yeah,
have them. Like we get blizzards once in a while, but like the earthquakes, the floods, the fires, not
tornadoes.
tornadoes. No, not the hurricanes. I used to live in Florida, and yeah, I don't miss the hurricanes or the temperature. More people
Yeah,
should come to Michigan. I mean, we need to
you're
relocate
not
them in.
lying. You're not lying. This is awesome. We got people checking in here. Adrian checking in from Dallas. Hot in. So hot in here. Jorge Flores checking in from Miami. Very sunny today. Nice, Jorge. Susie Silva checking in from SoCal. What's up, Susie? Selena Rogers. Hit that like button. Get in the comments. I want to know who you are, where you are. If you've got questions for Audrey, whether it's about entrepreneurship, about global immigration, whether it's about what paradigm is, we're going to talk about that. Talk about AI. I want to know what your thoughts are as well about AI and lawyering, and is it going to change things? Jersey's in the house. Atlanta. Lauren's here in Atlanta.
Lauren,
Ian's here from Eugene. Sunny in the high 70s. That's gorgeous.
nice.
Oh, and one of our favorite people here, Pa, checking in.
Uh,
Pa brings me joy. There's like a handful of, well, it's probably three handfuls of those people that we work with in our industry that just like when you see them, I just get the warm and fuzzy inside.
just
And
make you
Pa's one of those.
smile. They're awesome.
Just like a walk-in hug, Pa's great people. Richard Majewski checking in from London. So we got Ghana, we got London, we got people. Look at this, is fantastic here. I want to get into it. Where do we begin? Audrey, you know what? We teased this at the beginning, and I want to hop in here real quick. You started your firm, what was it? You ran it for 8 years.
Mhm.
What made
Yeah.
you start that firm? And then I'm really curious to talk about why you decided to leave a firm you started.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I started the firm kind of looking out there at the industry at that point in time. I just didn't see any place I wanted to be. Like it was a little bit depressing. I had been with a couple firms and there's still some great people there that I'm friends with to this day. But I just didn't see a firm out there that was doing what I wanted to do, that was really doing global immigration and doing it well. It was kind of early days for some of the players that are in the market now, and so I just had to find my own path. And it was great. It was great for 8 years, and it was a
What
hard decision to walk away.
what was that like branching out on your own? That first year, that first, like, kinda coming to terms with that, taking the
Yeah.
leap. Always interested to hear
Yeah.
that story.
I walked away, I didn't take any clients. People thought I was a little crazy. Walked away. I had 2 weeks of kind of panic where you're like, "Oh, what have I done?" Like, I just left a really good position with a company, great salary, great job security, so much work. When I gave my notice, they were like, "You can name in any office in the world you want to work from. We'll put you there. Like, stay, please stay." So it's not like it was bad, but I just had that vision for what I wanted to do. I wanted to do it differently, and yeah, so I had 2 weeks of panic. My husband was a little nervous at that time as well. But yeah, after that, the phone started ringing, the emails just started coming in, started to connect with people, and really didn't look back for a long time. It was really great.
Yeah, Richard saying that attitude is great. Already liking Audrey. Yeah. It's inspiring, I think, for people, especially people who are working in a job that, maybe doesn't inspire them or doesn't give them kind of purpose or scratch that itch for them. Jack Jampel checking in. What's up, Jack? Good to see you. Danny from New Jersey. What's up, Danny, on the Glomo team there? Good to see Danny. Yeah, so you started that company, you started getting some business coming in.
Mhm.
Obviously, people kind of probably knew you at that point, and I'm sure had a lot of an affinity for you. So you built it over 8 years. What was that decision to say, you know what? I don't think here is where I want to be anymore. What was that about?
Yeah, I mean, I think that as a small business owner, because while we grew and we flourished and we did a lot of amazing things and I loved it, like as a small business owner, the pandemic was exhausting,
Mm,
like just from the standpoint of running the company. And I think a lot of people out there can relate to that. I was just tired. And over the years, I'd had offers from a lot of different firms to come and join them,
sure.
but it never felt like before the pandemic, I was never tempted by it. I was like, no, thanks. Love you, but I'm good here on my own. I'm happy. I'm doing what I want to do. And then, really, after the pandemic, just being a little burnt out on the day to day operations of running a small business, like putting
What
aside
was
that
the
it's
thing?
global mobility.
What was the one thing that was the most like exhausting thing out there that maybe people who aren't entrepreneurs don't
Yeah.
even probably think of? What was that one thing that was the biggest pain in the butt?
Really the HR, dealing with benefits and comp and just the day-to-day HR is the one thing that I was like, wake up in the morning, don't want to do it. I love talking to my clients, love supporting my employees and watching them grow, like love working with my local council all around the world, like excited to do that, getting up in the morning. HR, dealing with health insurance, that sort of stuff, not so exciting. That was really the thing that tired me out. And ultimately, that and the technology, like, I love tech. I'm married to a tech guy. I think tech is fun. I'm a little bit of a nerd like that. But that's the other thing with trying to find tech solutions that would work for a small firm that
Right.
did immigration in literally like 100 countries around the world was really, really challenging. So
Well, and I'm,
those, I
yeah.
snuck in a second thing. Sorry. Yeah. It's two.
No, but I mean, I think that's really interesting that you say that, and I'm sure they it was also probably expensive to bring on world-class solutions. And when you have a smaller
Mhm.
firm, you kind of divide that across, fewer associates probably.
Yep.
and you probably had a very high standard for your work and wanting to put out the best product. I know we do as well.
Yeah.
And you know what the best product looks like, and you know that it's tech enabled,
Yeah.
but yet you can't provide it because the flip side of being a boutique, which I mean, it's great to be a boutique because you get all the human service, but you don't get all
Mhm.
the, you don't get all the efficiencies and the gadgetry and all the best in class tech,
Yeah.
that comes along with it oftentimes. So
Yeah.
I can
Absolutely.
understand that unction.
Yeah. No, that's so true. Like you just don't quite. Tech has helped small companies come a long way, but it is difficult to get access to the very best that's out there. Like you can do way more than you used to be able to do, um, but you still can't quite get to the cutting edge of a lot of things where you really want like a custom solution. You can't always access that. And when the off-the-shelf products don't work for what you're doing, it's definitely a challenge. It's frustrating when you've got that high standard for what you want your clients to be experiencing, and looking at it for a small firm, hiring full-time developers to customize a
Yeah.
solution, it just doesn't make sense.
And even when you offshore it, and you
Mhm.
find like lower price talent, I mean, you really do get what you pay for these days. And in
Yeah.
technology, you get what you pay for because, they say the world is flat, right? People have access to information, they have access to resources, access to these
Mhm.
talent pools. And so there's not a lot of deals out there. There's not a lot of arbitrage in the market where you can go find
Yeah.
a cheap solution that nobody's thought of and kind of, exploit the difference in the cost versus the revenue. Um, we got questions. Put those questions in the chat for Audrey. I want to know what your thoughts are about her story. I also want to get to why she made the jump and why she chose WR immigration and kind of what some of those things that she's excited about are over there. I'm sure Bernie is one of them. Bernie, I had a chance to meet Bernie over there at WR immigration. I was enamored with him. His personality is huge. We got to get Bernie on the show. Audrey, we got to get Bernie on the show. Can we make that happen?
I think we should. Bernie is a character. I mean, he's kind of a legend in the immigration space, but he's also just a lot of fun. And yeah, you once you get him started telling stories, he's not going to stop too. So he's got some really good stories.
Yeah, let's see here. We got a question here from Richard here. Get those questions and hit that like button. Let's see what you got. Richard is always, Richard is like doing the most out there and I love it. And I just want to give Richard a shout out because he's always in the comments. He's always putting great questions out there. Well, gosh, you know what? He's not always been great. He's always putting questions out there. Sometimes you miss, but Richard, it doesn't stop you. And I love that about you. Richard says, would be interested to hear whether Audrey thinks there is one single reason why law firms would use AI apart from burden on time? Or is it the clear anarchist in Audrey, which makes AI attractive? Are you just bucking trends, or is there really what is that one key differentiator that or as we used to say back in the 90s, the killer app for
Mhm.
AI within the business immigration space?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like Richard's saying, burden on time is a huge thing. Like, right, we're always so busy in the global immigration field, like just needing to get more done and needing to take some of those more mundane or routine tasks off your plate is so amazing. I think it's also the cost, right? I mean, Ben, the war for talent, it's a thing. Like it is difficult to get good talent in our industry. And so leveraging the good people you've got with AI so that they're not burning out. And you can pick and choose which things it makes sense to have a human do and which things it makes sense to have AI do for you. A lot of the boring, the repetitive things, the things where it's easy for a human to make a mistake, you can really leverage AI to do so much. Uh, Particularly since I've got a bigger platform now. I mean, I think you were talking about economies of scale before, Ben, and I've got that at WR now, which is amazing to have that access to the best tech resources.
Yeah, I'm really curious to hear, and I'm going to ask you. Well, I got some questions, but I want to stay here because we brought up the elephant in the room with AI, and I think machine learning. I think machine learning is definitely automating some of these repetitive tasks. I
Mhm.
think AI, I think of AI, artificial intelligence, as maybe going like a rung more upstream and
Yeah.
taking some of those knowledge tasks that requires the synthesizing of information and even forming maybe an opinion or recycling an opinion that someone
Yep.
has already had. I mean, frankly, we've already said that for millennia that there are no new ideas. There, we steal them and
Keep
repurpose them. Right?
rediscovering them over and
Yeah.
over
Hey,
again.
I had this great idea and it's based on an 18th century, quote. Um, yeah, I mean, how many times do we read self-help books or business books and they're quoting Jack Welch or they're quoting, some anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think there's some of that going on too. And I think when we talk about the market pressures, you talk about the war for talent, there's definitely an increased cost
Yeah.
for people and there's a labor shortage, which
Yeah.
is also, by the way, why business immigration is a thing, right? Is there's a
Yeah.
labor shortage. But there's price pressure from our customers who are wanting us to do it for less. But I think as something as I'm hearing you talking, I'm thinking about this. There's also profit pressure.
Mhm.
Companies are wanting to make profit and have been profiting more and more and finding ways to become more and more efficient and more productive. And we saw this for many years, with record profits and things like that. And then how do you make that happen in an environment where there's also price pressure and there's
Yeah.
also cost increases? But I think AI and machine learning can be that missing link for us.
No, I think it's huge. And I think you're right too, Ben. I mean, it goes beyond just the repetitive tasks. I mean, we have it, a couple of different ways, like in Rapid, which is our case management system at WR. We've got our bots, Ray and Rosie, we call them. And Rosie is more
Really?
about, we got to name them. They've got cute little, icons.
Is there a romance between Ray and Rosie?
Not that I'm aware of, but that could happen.
When AI matures, watch, like in 10 years, like they're
Yeah.
15 years old. They're like, hey, by the way, Rosie, I never
Maybe
noticed.
they
Yeah.
have them on the show, ask them about that. Yeah, so like Rosie's more about the machine learning level, I think, of like reading approval notices, entering information so that it's coming in real time. We get a visa approved, the client's not waiting for someone to, a human to sit there and read through it and enter it. But I think Ray is more next generation, a little bit ahead of Rosie here, doing things like assessments. So it's pulling information, pulling data from different sources and assessing like what's the risk level? Can you go forward with this candidate? Red light, yellow light, green light, kind of an assessment. And so that's where I think you get into true AI and lawyers start to get nervous that they're going to be replaced by, the rays of the world.
Yeah. So then what becomes the role and all these R's now I'm picturing with a WR in front of them because I know
Of
it's
course.
WRAY, like
That's
Ray, like
Bernie's. Yeah, of course. You always have to have the WR in everything then.
Bernie. He's just like he's surfing and branding at this level in
Yeah.
his career. He's just like, okay, these are the two things. No, and we got questions. Keep those questions coming about AI, machine learning. I want to hear your thoughts. Is it going to make lawyers and the rest of us obsolete? Is it going to augment us? How is our work going to change? I want to know what you think about it. We've got questions coming in here. Um, Richard says, imagine an area of litigation could have two computers arguing the case. This reminds me of those chess matches. At first, they had IBM's Big
Yeah.
Blue playing Bobby Fischer or whatever. I don't know.
Yep.
I'm probably butchering this. And then I think at one point they had the computers play each other, and it came out as a stalemate. It would be interesting. Do you ever see something where one firm's bots are arguing against another firm's bots?
That would be pretty funny. I can see clients trying that, like test with this firm. What does this firm's bot say? What does that firm's bot say? Comparing the two. I haven't seen anyone's bot having a bot battle or anything. No.
Like battle bots. I think they do this with like little robots, and it'd be interesting to
The
have a
robots, the
bot off. Yeah,
university kids build battle to
yeah.
the death.
Massimo, what's up, Massimo? Hey, saw you in London. That was great seeing you, Massimo here. And we've got Jana here from Brazil. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Great to see you, my dear Audrey. Another Paradigm member here. Let's see. Rada's got a question here. Rada says AI may be a solution for matured processes. U.S. immigration is quite standard forms process. not sure how efficient and applicable it is to other bureaucratic institutions. Audrey, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely this is a challenge I live every day, right? Because the majority of WR immigration is US focused. And so they get everything, neat and tidy, and Ray and Rosie are humming along. And then we get to, I don't know, pause on the line, Ghana, and we're like, oh, things are different. Everything is different, every single country. So that's the battle that I am fighting every day is how do you wrangle global immigration where you're covering so many different countries, so many different forms and languages and systems, and how do you make AI work for that? I think it's a challenge I'm probably going to be dealing with until I retire, to be honest. It's not one that's easily solvable. But at the same time, I don't think you can write it off. You can't say, oh, there's just too many variables, can't do it. I think my approach is very, systems and processes, and let's take this one step at a time. All right, maybe I don't have every country in the world. Ray is not working to do everything for everyone, but one piece at a time. Can you do Canada? Can you do the UK? Can you do Germany? And just being methodical about it. I think you can get there. But I agree, Rita. I mean, there are a lot more variables to take into account when you're dealing with other jurisdictions. And there are definitely a lot of jurisdictions in the world where there's just a lot of discretion and things are not as standardized as the US. But on the other hand, yeah, the US has all these forms and processes we're supposed to follow, but do we really, all those RFEs and all those, officers making rogue decisions that don't make any sense? The US has got a lot of that going on. So that's a challenge to deal with as well, even though the process should be cut and dry. In practice, it's not always that way.
Have you ever seen or heard about it? I heard somebody talk about what about the idea, you talk about rogue officers and you talk about, I've heard people talk about, at certain border stops, they get treated, something's handled one way. And then like, I've even seen this come up at like regional relocation councils. Like when I was in Detroit, right. They were talking because Detroit, is on the border there with Canada, with Ontario. And people like, they'll even go back at work at one of the big auto companies, whatever, and
Yeah.
they'll tell you, oh, well, at 3 o'clock, this person comes on, and that's when you want to hit this, this time. Like they get down to that level of granularity.
Yeah.
Do you ever see like AI, because AI can process big data sets like that? I mean, do
Yeah.
you ever see AI analyzing, the probability for, RFEs or certain offices or consulates or border crossings or certain people, because analyzing the human behaviors to give kind of probabilities or even make recommendations for success?
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And this is already something that we're playing around with a little bit in terms of, getting all, the first step though is you've got to get all this data into your system so that you can analyze it and what's the trend. And when we file here, why are we getting a different result than when we file here with the same facts, some very similar fact pattern? So yeah, I think there's a huge amount of opportunity to recognize patterns and make, we're all about kind of predictive technology solutions and making those recommendations based on what we've seen. And that's another thing that's huge with economies of scale. When you've got a larger firm, you've got a larger data set that you can access and you can make those recommendations like, don't go to the Vancouver, I'm making this up now, don't process in Vancouver for your work permit, process in Toronto or something like that. We're
Right.
seeing better decisions for this type of case. And it's a thing. I mean, those, especially when it's on the spot adjudication by an officer at a border, I mean, there is a lot of variation and you get some definitely rogue officers. I mean, I've had people, one of my favorite examples is some poor guy, South Korean national, went to go apply for his Canadian work permit at some super remote border crossing. And the officer was like, oh, I'm sorry, we can only give work permits to Americans, because he'd never seen anyone from another country trying to come through there.
Oh.
I don't even know how the guy got way out in the middle of nowhere. So you sometimes just get crazy stuff. But having the data and having AI, analyze it can warn you. Don't do that.
Do you think do you think AI and machine learning, favors a smaller firm or a larger firm? Is this a disruptor of large firms that have a certain market position, or is this
Mhm.
an enabler, and an enabler of smaller, more nimble firms? Or is
Mhm.
this something where large firms are at a benefit because of large data sets and frankly, maybe the ability to invest?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a wishy-washy answer. It
Yeah, because I
could
can make
go
the case
either
both
way.
ways. Yeah.
Yeah, it could go either way. I still think that firms that are of a size that can have their own developers make significant investments in technology have an advantage with a lot of this right now. That could shift in the future. I mean, I compare it to, you know, it used to have, tons of people in HR dealing with payroll and timesheets and all of this. And now we've got systems that just handle that. And you can have like one person handling HR for hundreds. So in certain areas, I think technology is now enabling smaller firms to compete. But I think we still have a ways to go when it comes to, AI and some of the cutting edge stuff for immigration. I think that still is not terribly accessible to the smaller firms because a lot of this has to be built custom. I mean, that's what WR did. We've got Rapid, of course, with the WRapid built on a Salesforce platform, but it's custom built with in-house developers and significant investments. And I think that would be really hard. Looking at where I was with my own firm, even though we were really successful, the size it just didn't make sense.
So maybe really it kind of favors the middle market in a
Yeah.
way, because the biggest ones may be disrupted. I mean, they have nowhere to go but down, right? And the boutiques can't afford maybe the investment. So maybe having the
Mhm.
size and scale where you can afford the investment and make a move and jump kind of
Yeah.
up the ranks. Really
No, I
super
think you're
interesting.
totally, totally right, Ben. And I think this is one thing, looking at my prior firm where I was, looking at a lot of the technology and a lot of the problems, it was almost like too big to fix because they
Yeah,
were so huge.
yeah.
So that mid market is really a sweet spot right now.
Yeah, which is interesting because, a couple of years ago when I was looking at consolidation, in all of these verticals within global mobility, you know, um, I thought the middle market was really kind of screwed because, the big
Mhm.
market, the big folks are going to continue to gobble up the little people, and the and
Mhm.
the and the boutiques are always going to have a place because they're just going to offer a different level of service and relationship. And the
Yep.
middle didn't have that differentiator, but maybe this is actually the key competitive,
Mhm.
strategy for the middle. This is really interesting. We got more comments coming in. Put those comments and questions into Put those questions in the comments. I gotta get better at this, Audrey. All right, maybe AI could help me. Put the questions in the comments. Comments in the comments are also acceptable. Hit that like button. I want to know what you are thinking out there. And if you want to share the temperature, you may do so as well. Thank you, Retta.
Ouch.
Massimo, what's it like in Belgium? Please convert it to Fahrenheit for us Americans. Jorge is saying, Richard, or a computer explained to a client whose case is affected by the issues of the immigration organism versus government policies, especially in Latam. Are we going to have the bots? I mean, are we at a place where the bots can explain, hey, here's the status where you're at. Here's maybe why this something happened. I mean,
Yeah.
what is, let me ask you this question. What is the most common, difficult, challenging call you receive or you might receive at a business immigration firm?
Common challenging call that I receive. I
Painful
think that
call.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing is like day in and day out, I almost want to record. I should just have AI do this. It's like, I want to go to Canada. I want to send this person to Canada because they're running out of US immigration status. But we either don't have an office or we've got an office, but they're going to move there and not really be affiliated with our office. I get that question over and over again, and it's a little bit painful. It's like, no, you've got to have a reason to go to Canada. You can't just decide. I mean, I'm Canadian as well. It's a great country, lovely, a little bit cold. But yeah, you've got to have a reason. So I feel like that is one that I just get on repeat. And I should probably train Ray to answer that call for me.
Press 5 if you want to go to Canada just because. It's like, all right, yeah.
Exactly. Just because we're nice, just because Canadians are awesome.
Let's see here. Ben Sukia checking in here, always with the Most intelligent commentary says, looking forward to seeing Global Mobility's answer to Barbie and Ken. Thank you, Ben, for that. Always raising the bar, Ben. Thank you. Have you seen the Barbie movie, by the way? I hear it's actually really good.
I
Have you
have
seen it,
not.
Audrey?
I know I'm a straggler here.
My wife saw it. She said she'd see it again. I might actually go. It
You should
seems
go. You
actually,
got to wear pink, though. I have seen large groups of people in pink outside.
I know. I got my pink pocket square. I've got a little pink. I think I have a
You might
tasteful amount of pink.
qualify. Yeah.
I don't want to go like full like paint roller pink, but like I have a little pop of
Pepto-Bismol.
color here and there. Yeah.
All right.
Well,
All right.
I think it's tastefully done. Charlotte saying another Charlotte. What's up, Charlotte? The other Charlotte. Very cool. So you chose WR Immigration when you left your own firm. What was that choice like? I know you had a lot of options and a lot of folks, you talked about that. And what was that choice that said, you know what? I think this might actually be the one fit for me.
I mean, it was funny, actually. Another firm cold called me with a proposal right after I'd gotten off the phone with our insurance company that had royally messed things up. And so they caught me at a moment of weakness where I was like, all right, I'll listen. What do you have to offer? You have people.
It's always us recruiters, we just try to find that moment of weakness, It's like, did a car splash you with a puddle that morning on your way to work? It's like, sweet.
Yep. She's having a bad day. She's dealing with HR stuff. She hates it. So they cold called me and I was like, all right, I'll listen. And I listened. And then I called a friend of mine, Sharina Garcia, who is a partner at WR and is also awesome. You should also have her on the show because she had joined WR a couple of years before that. And she had a super successful firm in the San Francisco area and decided to leave that, bring it into the WR fold. And I just want to get her opinion. Like, am I crazy to consider this? What do you think? And she was like, Audrey, you're not crazy, but you should come here instead of going there. We need global. Come help us. And I was like, okay, interesting. And so, that kind of started the ball rolling. And then I talked to Bernie and he doesn't really like to take no for an answer either. And just really loved the people, like the diversity of the people here is fantastic. I have also worked for some kind of stuffy, conservative, very, white shoe type law firms. And it was just a different vibe here. Like they don't just talk about diversity, like, oh, it's something we should put on our website. They really live it. And it was a really cool experience chatting with all the different people here. And then just seeing, look, they are doing so many amazing things with technology. I mean, the technology, I was kind of like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, to be able to have access to that, I have all these ideas of things that I want to do that'll make my life easier, make clients' lives easier. And if I go there, I can do them. So I think it was really the combination of the people, the diversity, just a cool, not stuffy vibe, and the Christmas morning of the tech tools.
I totally get that, because if you've been doing it for 8 years and doing a great job based on like service and commitment and dedication and relationship, and then you're like, oh, and I get to now have the toys and the tech and the bright and shiny objects and all the things that I can sell with, and all those things that have like kind of probably been the only detractor, That's kind of sweet. And oh, by the way, I get to work with really cool people who you're friends with already.
Yeah.
So you don't get the downside of like some firms that maybe you want to avoid or whatever. That makes a lot of sense. And you get to focus on the work that you love versus the work you don't love, which is like the HR administrative nightmare. I mean, gosh, I'll tell you what, as an entrepreneur myself, we've got employees in like different states and stuff. And like you hire somebody in like Connecticut, and all of a sudden now you got to register in Connecticut. You got to pay taxes in Connecticut. You got to, at times every state you want to have somebody in. We get people that recruit, like we'll get like a large company, like say maybe an RMC or something like this. It has people all over, and they'll like, okay, I want to hire a relocation consultant or whatever, and they can be anywhere except these 14 states. It's like, because we've made a blood oath that we will never employ somebody in one of these 14 states. It's like, oh, okay, sure, no problem. Yeah, I'll call
They've
them
got
in
a
person.
map with those states with like big red X's over, like, don't go there. Too
We
much
say, oh,
work.
can this person sit? They're like, oh, they could sit anywhere. Except, hold on, I'll send you a document of places they can't sit. It's like, I don't have them all committed to memory. Like, oh, what about Delaware? They're like, I don't think that's on the list, but I'll send you the document. I'll send you a PDF after the call. Yeah. It's funny you say that about the moment of weakness too, because I remember when I got recruited to Michigan. When I got recruited to Michigan, I was also in a moment of weakness. And I was in the middle of the summer in our peak season. I'm literally sitting there in a war room, conference room converted, trying to get all this stuff done, right? And I had my I think it was my left. I think I had my left arm over my head. You know, I'm like, who's got a baby aspirin? I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack right now. And I was like, and I had like 3 escalations on like 2 hands. And I had an RMC, I had a military base, and I think I had an angry like transferee or something. And and my phone rang, my personal phone, and it was a recruiter. And she's like, I have this great opportunity. I'm like, where is it? She's like, I'm not going to tell you where. I just want you to hear it out. I'm like, this is weird, but I'm desperate. All right, I'm going to Chick-fil-A for lunch. I'll call you in a bit. And it's just how it worked. And I did. Yeah, that's funny.
Catch you in that right moment.
They do.
All right, I'll listen.
Timing is everything, right? Brad Hamlin checking in from Michigan. What's up, Brad? In the Detroit area. Now, what part of Michigan are you in, Audrey?
So I'm in the northern Lower Peninsula in Michigan speak here. I'm going to resist putting up my hand with the Michigan.
You want to do it? I see the hands.
I'm not doing it then. We're gonna keep the hands here. So not quite to the Upper Peninsula, but definitely northern Michigan.
Like Petoskey area?
Petoskey area, right on the lake. Lovely. Until February, and then you get that brisk, sub-zero wind off the lake. That's not so great, but
what is the temp? What is the air temp in Fahrenheit currently, Audrey?
All right, I'm gonna have to cheat and look because I think it's like 70.
Oh my gosh.
It is 71. It was 1 degree off.
Insane. It's 101. It's 101 here and mostly sunny. If it was full sunny, it'd be like 107.
Then you would just die. I just went to Iceland and I was sitting next to a guy that was coming from Texas. He had booked his flight like the day before because he just couldn't take it. He like woke up in the morning. It was like 114. And he was like, I'm leaving. I'm going to the coldest place I can think of, Iceland.
Going to Iceland. Yeah, catching a connection to Antarctica. David Yakum says, Grand Haven in the house.
Hi, David.
Nice. Brad saying a beautiful day here in the Mitten.
It is gorgeous.
Very cool. Rachel's throwing a Barbie party in DFW. All right, you know what? Cool. I'm down. Pink sounds cooler than navy right now. Philip Yip, greetings from Sydney. Yes, and I met Philip in London also at there was at the ALA conference last fall. That was fun.
Hi, Philip. Philip is awesome. Time is it in Australia? It's got to be early.
Yeah, really. Adrian says 101 feels like 109. Holy smokes. Not
110. That's really precise. 109.
Well, 110 is, that's another problem. 109. 109, we don't get too alarmed. We're like, geez. 110, we're like, cancel school. Question. So from a global standpoint, what are some of the, I want to, do a real quick, like, what are some of the hot buttons that you're seeing right now? Things people are talking about, things we need to kind of be aware of and put on people's radar.
Yeah. I mean, going back to the tech, it's, the government's digitizing things. That's still a big trend. We're just continuing to see that roll through country after country. Governments moving to online platforms, online appointments, outsourcing.
Who are the best? Give me like 2 or 3 that are like, really doing well.
It. I mean, I think Ireland's doing pretty well. Australia's, old hat at this. They've been digital for a long time. There's not a lot of, send your passport here to put an old-fashioned sticker in it, and then we'll courier it back to you. Might get lost along the way. We haven't had any of that in Australia in a long time. Canada's trying to get there. I mean, everyone I feel like is moving in that direction, but the big pain point is, right, when it works, when the tech works, it's great. You get an emailed approval. Everyone's happy. They jump on the plane. when it goes wrong, when it hits a bump, that's really where we've got the problems, because getting in touch with a human is incredibly challenging when everything has been digitized and or outsourced. Like, that is a huge pain point for clients.
What's the bigger risk? The single point of failure of an online portal or the human element in it?
I'm going to go with the failure of the online portal, but there's definitely still plenty of human error out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the portal, just the glitches, when you can't get past that, it's a problem. Shuts everything down.
I wanna pivot. I know we're talking work, we're talking the
Mhm.
mitten, but I wanna ask you, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about paradigm.
Yes.
Tell us about paradigm. What is it? There's probably still people out there that don't know. So give
Yeah.
us the lowdown. What is paradigm?
Yeah. So Paradigm is a nonprofit global mobility community that I and a few of my friends, basically, Ben Suki, who's on the line, Massimo is involved, Charlotte, a lot of people who are tuning in are involved. And basically, we started this during COVID. We're all locked in our houses, and just really missing the community and the connection and being able to do something positive for the world. So I think that there are still a lot of people out there that don't know about it or are confused about what it is, but it's really a community of people who work in global mobility. And our mission is gather, grow, give, that we want to gather those people together in ways that they can really connect on a genuine level. So beyond the kind of business networking chit chat, trying to get business, but really genuine connections, friendships, help them grow professionally and personally, and give back. A big chunk of the membership dues and also extra money we raise go to really wonderful charities that are doing great work. One is Ripple Africa, which is really near and dear to our heart. So
I love
it's
it.
just a fun group of people trying to do good things and have a bit of fun along the way.
I love it. I love the gather, grow, give. I think that's phenomenal. It is a phenomenal group of people. They all have a really big heart. I mean, they have
Mm-hmm.
really big hearts and they have really big brains. They're like really smart, really competent, good at what they do, and
Yeah,
also some of the best people from a
yeah.
just person standpoint, from a human
And we've
standpoint.
got people from all over, which I love the diversity of it. Like, that's another thing that's really central to what we're doing, is like anybody in global mobility. You don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to be from a particular country. I think we've got people from 26 different countries now, just going into year 3. So it's really people from all over the place that wanna connect and wanna do good things.
Help me understand the grow aspect.
Yeah.
What does grow really refer to?
Grow is really just supporting members of the community in their personal and professional growth. And two things, and Grow is really near and dear to my heart because I started that. I chaired the Grow team, we call it, for 2 years. And the two big things we do with Grow is we have a mastermind group for people that are kind of a little bit more senior in the industry in a position of leadership. And that's peer-to-peer support group, basically, where you come in, you've got your little group of people that you meet with once a month, and you share problems and challenges that you're facing. And your colleagues, and sometimes even your competitors, are there to support you, give feedback, give thoughts. And we've had some really, people have changed jobs because of this. People have come up with new initiatives because of these groups. It's really been amazing to see what's come out of these groups of leaders in our industry. And the other side of it is academy, because we really believe in developing people who are, young professionals or new to the field, and supporting them and giving them opportunities. And so Academy is a program. These run like once a year, basically. You're meeting monthly. And in the past, we've really focused on almost like classroom style lectures. This year, we're tweaking it a little bit, and we're going to do almost like a mastermind junior, where they're supporting each other. and having a lot more peer-to-peer interaction and like, what challenges are you facing? Where do you want to go? What do you want to accomplish? And how can we help you do it? I mean, it's a little bit almost like a family that's there to support you. And in turn, you're supporting, you know, the other members of the family in what they want to do professionally.
That's really cool. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Rachel Longo is in the comments saying, "Can you share the connection information?" And of course, nobody chimes in with the link. Just kidding. Ben's on it. Massimo's on it. Everybody's on it. Paradigmcommunity.org/register. What are dues? Like $8,000 or what?
No. 200 euros a year regular membership, or 100 for people who are in, you know, lower HDI countries or who are young professionals. So, you know, we keep it super reasonable, and we are also committed to, like, cost should not be a barrier. So we've got scholarships available if cost is something that's difficult based on where you are in your career or where you are in the world.
You know, I love that you delineate between cost structures in different parts of the world, right? Because that's one of the knocks I heard. I mean, listen, I'm very like American centric, right? I just started traveling internationally, you know, a couple of years ago for, as I have my own company and everything. But
Yeah.
it became apparent to me that the playing fields are not even close to level, right? When
No.
people come over here to the United States, which, oh, by the way, is a home game for us, and it's a,
Yeah.
it's an international trip for most people in most parts of the world.
Yeah.
And when you want, like, Worldwide ERC wants a registration of like $2,000 or whatever, like
Yeah.
that's maybe 5x more expensive for someone in, Brazil or something than it is here.
No,
And
it's crazy.
I guess I never clicked for me. And do you think associations should kind of reevaluate what they charge for membership?
Oh, I absolutely think they should. And this is something I've been an advocate for in some other organizations that I'm a member of, is you've really got to move beyond that US centric or even Europe centric fee structure if you're serious about diversity and inclusion, because it's just not accessible. And also, if you're serious about mentoring and helping young professionals to grow, you've got to make the organization accessible to them. You know, if you have these fee structures where it's thousands of dollars, thousands of pounds, whatever it is, you're not going to get those people. You're going to get people that are already the people that everybody knows, that everybody goes to, and you're just going to get the same over and over and over again. And it's great to be at the top of your game and to be well known, but how are you going to give back? How are you going to develop the next generation of people in this industry? And how are you going to diversify it so it's not always the same old?
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, and I think it's a common critique I see of associations, is sometimes they reinforce the inequalities that we see, and sometimes we have to kind of break free from some of those molds and do things differently.
Yeah.
Sophie King, shout out to Sophie King, checking in. Nicely described, Audrey. What's up, Sophie? Charlotte, it's a super lovely community, if Charlotte does say so herself. Ben Suki has got a great question. Look at Ben just teeing up the softballs here. That's great, Ben. Thank you so much. He says, "Where's the next conference, Audrey?"
It's in Amsterdam.
When is
End
this?
of February, last day in February, I think first day in March. And our last conference sold out in, like, our very first annual conference we had last year. I think it sold out in like a week or two. So we are going to try to make it a little bit more accessible, a little bit more space this year. But if people are interested, definitely earlier is better. It's a really special conference.
Why should people come to the Paradigm Conference in Amsterdam?
Because virtual is amazing, but I really think there's no substitute for the connections you can make in person. When you're there sitting around a table, having a drink, getting to know people, it can really just, I think, boost your connections and your development to the next level.
Is there like an ROI play, or is it more for like the soul?
I would say it's a little more for the soul. I tend to be a little bit more on that side of things. So, I mean, I am a businesswoman, but Paradigm, I don't think people should join Paradigm with the or come to the conference with the primary objective being, I want to get business. I think it's more for how can you grow as a person, how can you grow professionally, and how can you develop that community of people that support you through thick and thin, which I think is a huge return on investment, but it's not, I'm going to land, X.
I'm gonna close Ben Sukia at the bar.
No, it's not that. It's not
that's
that
what I was telling my
vibe.
wife. So if I go to my wife and I'm like, listen, it's Amsterdam, it's for the soul. I have a feeling she's gonna throw up all over the idea. I need to form a little bit more of an artful justification. So I'm gonna I'm gonna close Ben Sukia at the bar over a pint. He's a notoriously cheap date. I love you, Ben. I want to go. I'm in. Like I've never been to Amsterdam. I just got my passport renewed today. That's a whole nother. Yeah, I went down there and did an interview thing. Like I did the whole thing.
Nice.
It's
You're ready to go then.
The international DMV. It was very funny. Yeah.
It is just a good description. International DMV. I like that.
It is. Like they had me switch seats 4 times. Like sit here, sir. Get pre-approved. Sit over there. Wait and get it really approved. And then we're gonna put it in the mail for you. $60. Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, very cool. Well, this sounds really interesting. So is there a registration for the conference? Does it cost to register? Plus, obviously
it costs to register. We're working on it right now. Don't have the registration link live, but that'll be coming soon. You can check the website that Ben gave, or we'll post it on our LinkedIn as well.
Okay. All right. Ben said he would sponsor me, so that's good. Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Ben.
It's going to sponsor you and buy your drinks.
100%. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting to the ROI I think my wife's been looking for this whole time. All right, let's get into it. Let's have a little fun, Audrey. We've been too serious for too long, Audrey. Okay. Let's have a little fun. All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
We're going to play a little game called Overrated, Underrated. All right. This is the moment the audience has all been waiting for. Do you know how to play this game, Audrey?
I don't know. Why don't you remind me then?
There's only 2 rules. Okay.
All right.
I'm going to give you a topic and you are going to tell me if it is either overrated or underrated. Those are your only options.
All right.
Don't come at me with some other kind of nonsense. Just one of those 2 things.
No long form answer.
No long form.
No brief.
No properly rated. No motion to dismiss. None of that.
I'll refrain from that.
Okay. All right, cool. And the second rule is I'll tell you if you're right or wrong. Okay.
All right. The audience doesn't get to vote. No?
I love when people get it. Okay. Yeah, you know what? Fine. All right. The audience gets to tell you if you're right or wrong. Okay, audience, are you there? Are you still? Hello? Wake up, Sydney. All right. Here we go. Audience, I want to hear what you think. Is Audrey correct or is she incorrect in overrated, underrated? The first topic, coffee, overrated or underrated? What say you?
Overrated. Sorry.
Overrated. That's an aggressive
I know.
take.
I'm going to get killed on that one.
Defend your answer before I weigh in.
All right. I can't help it. I'm a tea drinker. Just can't love the coffee quite as much as the tea. I feel like isn't tea the most common beverage in the world though, after water? So maybe the numbers are in my favor, but probably not because we've got a bunch of Americans on the line.
Yeah, I mean, your pro-tea stance. I don't know that it. I mean, now you're taking your pro-tea stance out on coffee. I just don't know if. Let's say here. Let's see what the crowd says.
All right, I can take the failure.
Susie says overrated. All right, Susie. All right, let's see here. Pa saying coffee is overrated.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. So you have a lot of support.
Not as expected.
You know what it is? These paradigmers are just too nice. That's the problem. Okay, they're all so nice and inclusive. Let's say Adrian saying underrated, except for Starbucks. Way overrated. What? Yeah. Wild. People like this are usually Dunkin' Donuts people, and those are the worst kinds. Let's see here. This is where we take the gloves off. The last 10 minutes, nobody's watching. We just get ugly. All right, here we go. All right, you know what? I think coffee's overrated, even though I'm a big coffee drinker. And I'll tell you what, I did not know that coffee was one of the. And I'm going to make up a stat here real quick. Coffee's one of the top 10 least sustainable foods.
Oh,
It's so
yeah.
unsustainable. I mean, it's all grown in like South America, Central America, parts of Africa, Indonesia, and then shipped across the world. And
Yeah.
then we like make a whole pot. We only use half. I'm talking to me.
Yeah.
It's not
There's some
sustainable.
waste going on there. Not good for the environment.
Brad's coming in here with an uninformed opinion. Starbucks is overrated. Tim Hortons is where it's at.
The
Oh,
Starbucks hate here.
it's the vitriol is
It
so
is.
dense right now. I love you, Brad, but I don't like your take on coffee. I think Tim Hortons is better than Dunkin' Donuts for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Massimo says coffee's why. He says if I didn't have coffee, I
Uh,
wouldn't get out of bed.
well, we want you to have your coffee, Massimo. We won't take it away.
That's great. That's great. All right. You know what? You say you're not a coffee drinker, but if you drink coffee, would you would you make an exception?
I've had coffee. Yeah. Yeah.
Back in the 80s?
Depends how late I'm up
Okay.
or
All right.
time
But
zone.
really, like
In
never.
case of emergency, I do resort to coffee.
Is it because like you get like, is it too caffeinated? Is it like too
Yeah,
good?
like I just don't need that much caffeine on a normal day.
Okay. I like the paradigmers are coming out here and saying, wait, hold up. No, wait, actually,
Yeah, there's some
coffee.
we welcome diversity of opinions at Paradigm. It's all right.
Very good. All right, many places are better than Starbucks. All right, so okay, cool. All right, you know what? I'll allow your coffee opinion. All right,
Okay.
1 point for Audrey. Next, tea, overrated or underrated?
Underrated. Sees where it's at. I mean, you have to expect this based on the last answer.
Yeah, you kind of stole your own thunder there, didn't you?
Yeah, sorry.
Give me one reason. Give me 2 reasons why I should drink tea.
2 reasons why I should drink
It's
tea.
not iced tea or Thai tea. Love that stuff.
That's just like 90% sugar.
That stuff is crack. It's
It is.
90% sugar, 10% cream.
Yes, pretty much. I'm not sure there's not actually any tea involved in anything other than the name.
I do think they go too crazy with the cream and the Thai tea. I need it to be mostly orange pico.
Little overwhelming. Yeah, you should drink tea because it's just more interesting, and you're not going to be as dehydrated.
More interesting. What does that mean exactly?
You have so many different kinds of tea. Like, have you ever been a tea drinker?
I've drank tea.
Always go straight to the coffee.
Hey, I'm in the South. All right, sweet tea, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know?
That's iced tea that falls into the 90% sugar category, though. You got to branch out here. A little Darjeeling, something fancy.
Okay, Darjeeling.
Tea horizons. I'm gonna have to send you like a tea gift package or something.
So every morning you're like walking into the kitchen like this, like like all of us, right? And then you open up some big like cornucopia of teas and say,
I do.
Which tea am I gonna have today? Like you start the morning with a decision.
I do. And my husband used to work for Teavana too, so that kind of expanded my tea obsession. I have like canisters of tea. It's amazing. It's my happy place in the morning.
Yeah, it's good he didn't. Yeah, good. It's good he didn't work for a pharmaceutical company.
That could have gone poorly.
Yeah, sure, hubby. Whatever you selling, I'll try it. All right, let's see here. Susie's saying sweet tea does not count. Yeah,
I'm with you on that, Susie. That's not real tea.
What if it's Darjeeling?
Darjeeling sweet tea.
Expand your horizons, Susie. Philip, underrated switch from coffee this year. What was the switch about, Philip? I want to know. How did you convert? Tea is good for your soul, Ben. That explains a lot, Ben, actually. Explains a lot. Okay. We got a lot of tea fans. I'm you know what? I'm open-minded. I think your case for the interesting part. Coffee begins to taste a lot alike, although I do like my Bustelo, but coffee does tend to, and it's hardcore. I like to drink a lot of a hot beverage, like a lot of cups, and like a lot of cups of coffee will just. Coffee also raises my stress levels. I didn't realize I read something about this. So like me and my wife, like 10 o'clock in the morning on the weekends after we had like 3 cups of coffee, we're just like, it's like, why are we so stressed right now on a Saturday morning? Because we had 3 cups of coffee.
Yeah, and especially in Michigan in the winter, you need to drink like a warm beverage all day.
All day.
Do that with coffee. It can be really jittery.
All right. Best tea besides Darjeeling. Best tea I should try.
I like this ginger peach tea. I'll just send you the link.
Peach.
It's
Might have just lost a point.
Southern. All right. Fair
It's
enough.
Southern. It's like Georgia. It's so,
Georgia.
I love how we can,
I lived in Georgia.
stereotype Americans, but everyone else, we're very inclusive. Okay. Got it. Okay, fine. You get a point for tea also. I'll give it to you. Massimo says drink a cappuccino on the weekend. Thank you, Massimo. I don't have what do you think I have? You think I have some like $2,000 coffee maker at my house? I got like a Braun. I got like the same person that makes my toothbrush makes my coffee maker. Okay. Like I'm not sophisticated like the Belgians over here. Love you guys. Philip saying the hydration during the workday. Yeah. All right. That makes sense. So what is it? Coffee more of a diuretic than tea is? I thought they both had that effect.
I think coffee is harsher.
Just
I think it is. Yeah, and herbal tea. We didn't even talk about herbal tea. Sounds like Philip's drinking some herbal tea.
Is that real? Is herbal tea real?
It's a real thing. You got all sorts of flavors.
What's the difference between regular tea and herbal tea? Isn't it all?
No caffeine.
Oh. All right. All right.
But like decaf coffee is just decaf coffee. Herbal tea, you've got like hundreds of kinds.
Okay. All right. I'll try it. I'll try it. Seems like a lot of decisions in the morning, but I'll try it. You can't brew just a pot of tea, can you? Like just like coffee, like set it in the night before 10 o'clock at night, going to bed. Hey, you going to make the tea? No, I'm going to make the tea. You go in and make the tea and then set it and forget it. Can you do that?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work for you then. I think you're going to have to like put the tea bag in your cup and pour some hot water on it in the morning.
It's like chemistry.
Too much. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to get burns. All right. I don't know. Maybe. All right. Next. Spring break in Florida. Overrated or underrated?
Overrated.
Florida. Overrated or underrated?
Overrated? I mean, I have a lot of family and friends in Florida, so I like to go visit them, but it's hot, it's crowded. They're a little crazy these days. I don't know.
Sticky.
Yeah.
Agitated. Lots of strange wildlife that you don't find in other places.
Definitely. Just lots of people that don't drive well. Sorry, I'm stereotyping. I also like got my license in Florida. There's no driver's ed in Florida. So like it's not a surprise that there's a lot of bad drivers. There
are just a lot of uneducated drivers. Wow. Broad.
Blinded by the sun, maybe. I'm not really sure.
The first hour of this podcast was all right. The second hour is fire. Just a lot of shots being fired at the state of Florida. I lived in Florida for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's overrated. I think there is something about seeing a palm tree. The first 9 months I lived there, I saw palm trees every day. I felt like I was on vacation.
You get excited for the palm tree.
And then after 9 months, I was like, I need to get out of here because, Florida is like a place you go to like party or die. And I'm like, I'm not doing either right now. I'm in a committed relationship and I'm 25. So I need to, I either need to break up with my fiance or I need to get the heck out of Florida. And I got out of Florida.
It's probably the right choice.
Definitely. Florida's tough here. People are still going on about the tea. Someone needs to buy Ben a mocha pot. Send me some pot, whatever it is, Ian. I'll take whatever it is. If it's mailable, I'll take it. All right. Yeah, I agree with you. Spring break in Florida. It's crazy because we only go when it's hot too. It's like, oh, it's summer. Let's go to Disney. It's like, shoot me in the face. Like, why am I going to go? The lines are insane.
You should not do that. Although I will say I went to Disney in June. I broke my own rule.
Why?
Theme parks in the summer because the ALA conference was there. And then my kids found out it was there. I should have kept it a secret, but the guilt got to me, like lying and saying I was going to I don't know, Alabama or something when I was going to Disney. They found out about it and then the game was all over. Like there was no question. We had to go. They had to come and we had to go to the theme parks.
I feel like the next overrated, underrated topic should be telling the truth to your children. Overrated or underrated? That's great. All right. Let's do next. Biking to work. We did a double and seeing coworkers in person.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Put it together. I feel like this is
underrated.
Underrated.
Awesome. I like it.
What does this have to do with coworkers? Is this like a bike, like a Peloton that goes to?
No, this is like a real outside bike that takes me to the office where I see people. I feel like so many people are just into the remote work, and I like to go see people.
I
And I
picture this like, have you seen the Tour de France? Right? And they're all like in a pack. They call that the Peloton, you know? So I have a feeling like it's like, okay, Audrey's gonna stop by Joe's house, and then Joe and Audrey are gonna go to Beth's house.
gonna
Beth,
join
Joe, and
me.
Audrey. All right. And then by the time you get to the office, you have a Peloton of people, you know, because
That would be
biking to
pretty
work and
cool.
seeing your friends. Yeah.
That hasn't happened yet, but that would be cool. I feel like we should do a paradigm Peloton of people, like the next
In
conference.
Amsterdam. They do a lot of bicycling in Amsterdam.
This is perfect. This is like our outing. This is our activity in Amsterdam. Massimo, start planning it.
Wow. Look at that. Great delegation. All right. Biking to work. You know, I know people that do this. Brad Hamlin, I think, who was watching, used to do this. Adam says, watch me take an hour and a half to get to work on a bike and then inevitably melt because I'm in Dallas.
I wouldn't recommend it in Dallas. No, not in the summer. That's just not doable.
Massimo just ha. He just gives a lot ha. A lot of that. That's good. Yeah,
He
I think
generally does that when I tell
winter.
him to do something.
Ha. Got to read it like that too. All right, biking to work. You know, I'll have to take your word for it. Overrated, underrated. Business suits in the summer. So good right now.
I think they're overrated. I mean, I'm sorry. Like you can pull it off. It's great. But like me personally wearing business suits in the summer, it's hot in the winter.
I
mean, how hot is it today then? And you're in a suit.
Well, it was 101. Now it's 100.
Okay.
But I mean, it's not 100 in here.
True.
I don't work outdoors. I'm not a roofer.
If you were on the bike, it'd be a problem.
Yeah, if I was well, then you tuck your pant leg into your sock, and you wear a helmet and don't have fabulous hair like me. So you make it's trade-offs. Business suits are overrated, Massimo says. I think there's something about when you become an entrepreneur, like you start like not doing certain things.
Yeah.
You start like, I was like, my suit game was real good. And then I started my own company. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Now you do
and then like, and then I was like, okay, I can't just like not do anything. Do something. So now I do this jacket and I wear shorts.
Also, my first job out of law school, I worked at a firm in Georgia and it was hot and I had to wear a suit. So I feel like that might have scarred me a little bit.
The first 10 years of my career, I wore a tie to work every day. And half of that time I was working in a call center, like on the phones. And people would come up to me and they would be so mad at me for wearing a tie to work. Because they're like, I work for 20 years and I don't, so I don't have to wear a tie, like the old timers would tell me these stories of when they had to wear a tie and coat and tie to work.
Yeah.
And they would be like, basically like I'm screwing it up for them.
Making them look bad because like they're not wearing a tie anymore.
Yeah, like you're over the hill, but I haven't made it to the top of the hill yet. So I can't like not wear a tie yet. I gotta
still on your way up. Now you don't have a tie. Does that mean you made it?
I got to dress for the job they used to have. And now, so now, that's pretty much it. Business suits overrated. I think this is interesting because like, what are we going to wear in the future when the temperatures are regularly like 100 degrees? And like, these are very traditional outfits. Like these lapels don't do anything. Like there's so like ties don't actually do anything. I mean, belts very important these days.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything else does, like the handkerchief, like I'm not actually like actively, using a handkerchief. So like, what is business attire of the future going to be like, Audrey?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there was like a super casual trend and now we're going back a little bit the other direction, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just kind of a cycle.
Like head to toe gowns, like they do in like Star Wars, like whatever Star Wars is doing, like that's what we're gonna be wearing.
That's what's gonna happen. But like you'll have the like full body like self-cooling suit. You just push a button and it like air conditions you in case you have to walk out of the building at some point in the day. Go get lunch.
I saw on Instagram somebody was like, it's called the air suit, and they're making suits out of mesh, and they're like, look, you can see through it. Like they hold up to the light, and it's like mesh, but it looks like a suit. I don't know. It seems like it go wrong.
It's a little wild.
Audrey, this has been a lot of fun. You've been very patient with me. We've taken this in a lot of directions. We've heard about AI. We've heard about entrepreneurship. We've heard about WR immigration. We've heard about paradigm. You've let me riff on ridiculous things from suits made out of mesh, etc. I want to give you the final thought, though, to kind of bring us home and close us out on the right foot. So what's the final thought we should be thinking about?
I really think it is all about community and innovation together. I mean, I think those are my two big things in my life is finding innovative, better ways to do things, whether it's with AI or something else, but still having the community of people, of human beings to support you and cheer you on and to support the next generation of folks coming into global mobility. I think those two things are just what makes it happen for me.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, mentoring that next generation. I think that's cool. There's a lot of purpose in that. That's great.
Definitely.
This has been a lot of fun. I can't wait to see you next. I don't know if it's going to be in Boston or if it's going to be in Amsterdam or maybe in Dallas. But I can't wait, Audrey, to see you in person again soon.
I'll see you in Boston then.
See you in Boston. Sounds good. Hey, everybody, be with us tomorrow. We've got Alice Fu on here in studio live in Dallas, assuming we don't all scorch to death. They went up to 103.
You better take the suit jacket off.
Yeah, I might have to. All right, take care, everybody. We will see you tomorrow, same time. Thanks, everybody. Thanks.